And by the time you notice it, you've already signed the loan. Not because you're stupid, because the system was never designed for you to notice. It was designed to feel like your own decision, right up until the moment it was too late to reverse. You didn't fall into debt, you were walked into it, politely, one reasonable choice at a time. Here's the part nobody explains to you. The more money you make, the more invisible the trap becomes. Poverty has bars you can see. This one has bars made of taste, timing, and everyone at my level has one. This isn't a story about bad decisions. It's a story about a system and one person given a single ordinary choice who splits into two different futures because of it. Meet Morrowe. In one version of the next 10 years, Morrowe is quietly consumed by the system. In the other version, Morrowe finds the one flaw in the design and walks straight through it. By the end of this, you'll know which version of Morrowe you already are. There's a version of broke that doesn't look broke. It wears a blazer. It leases a car with a bow on it. It posts a vacation photo captioned "blessed," and this isn't poverty. It's something the system built specifically for people who make good money, because people who make good money are the easiest people to keep working forever. Here's the mechanism, stripped down to its parts. Income rises, lifestyle rises to match it. Automatically, silently, without a single explicit decision ever being made. The gap between the two, the only thing that was ever going to produce freedom, closed before anyone notices it was open. The system doesn't need you to make one catastrophic decision. It only needs you to make 1,000 reasonable ones. A slightly bigger house, a slightly nicer car, a slightly better school, a slightly more impressive trip, each one defensible on its own. All of them together, a machine that keeps you exactly where you are, just with better furniture. Picture Morrowe, 29 years old, a new job offer, a blank slate. Morrowe sits in the orientation room on a Monday morning, same laptop, same badge. From this one moment, the next 10 years split into two timelines. In timeline 1, Morrowe will be earning more money than ever imagined and will feel more trapped than ever felt in a lifetime. In timeline 2, Morrowe will be earning less headline income and will be free. The difference is 5 rules the system runs on. Rule 1, the system says, upgrade the moment you can afford it. This is the first rule. The moment income rises, lifestyle is supposed to follow immediately, automatically, like a reflex built into the design. In timeline 1, Morrowe gets a first raise, $12,000. That night, Morrowe leases a car. The old one still ran fine. The new one simply matched who Morrowe was becoming. It never registers as a decision. It registers as an arrival. 6 raises later, timeline 1's income has nearly doubled. The savings rate sits at 0. On paper, Morrowe is thriving. In the account, nothing has moved in 6 years. In timeline 2, Morrowe gets the exact same raise, the same $12,000. That night, nothing changes. Same apartment, same car. The entire raise moves automatically into an account Morrowe never has to look at, to trust. To everyone around timeline 2's Morrowe, it looks like underachievement. Nobody can see the number that actually matters, because nobody ever can. They only see the lifestyle. And the lifestyle was never the point. A raise is not a permission slip. It's a fork in the road, and the system is betting you won't notice there was a choice at all. The last time your income went up, where did the money go? Did you feel it happen? Or did it just quietly upgrade a life you'd already stopped questioning? Rule 2. The system says, buy the house that matches your success. This doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a milestone. Proof. A finish line other people can see. In timeline 1, Morrowe buys a house at 34. not out of need for space, because the house is the evidence. Evidence for family, evidence for old classmates, evidence for the self. Morrowe stretches for it, and the bank calls the stretching a compliment. You can afford more than you think. Nobody mentions that a house bought for status doesn't just cost a mortgage. It costs the furniture that matches it, the lawn service that maintains it, the slightly better car parked in front of it because the old one suddenly looks wrong. The house was supposed to be an asset. Instead, it becomes the leash the rest of that life gets built around. In timeline 2, Morrowe buys a house at 38. Smaller, less impressive. In a neighborhood nobody name drops at dinner. The mortgage is small enough that one bad year couldn't touch it. The house doesn't upgrade identity. It protects it. While Timeline 1's capital sits locked in square footage half used, Timeline 2's extra capital sits in assets that pay Morrowe back instead of a house that only ever takes. A home is either a vault or a stage. A vault protects what you have. A stage performs what you want people to believe you have. When you picture your dream home, are you picturing your life inside it or somebody else looking at it? Rule 3, the system says, keep pace with your peer group. Nobody states this rule out loud. It doesn't need to be stated. It transmits through dinners, group chats, and the quiet math of comparison. In Timeline 1, Morrow's friend group all earned similar money. Every trip, every dinner, every casual mention becomes an invisible auction for who's doing the best. Morrowe never loses an auction. Morrowe also never notices being in one. By year 8, there's a resort habit, a rotating closet of investment pieces, and a card statement opened with one eye shut. Friends think Morrowe is thriving. Friends have never seen the real numbers, because nobody in that group ever shows the number. They only show the photo. In Timeline 2, Morrowe sits in the exact same kind of group, watching the same auctions run, and simply stops bidding. Still shows up to the dinners. Skips some of the trips. Wears the same jacket for 6 years and nobody notices because everyone else is too busy managing their own performance to study anyone else's. The peer group was never comparing bank accounts. It was comparing costumes. And costumes are cheap to walk away from the moment you see them for what they are. Who specifically were you trying to impress with your last big purchase? Now ask yourself, would that person lend you $5,000 if you actually needed it? If the answer is no, you already know what that purchase was really for. Rule 4, the system says, more income solves the problem. This is the rule that keeps the entire machine running. The belief that the next raise, the next title, the next deal will finally make things feel okay. In Timeline 1, Morrowe runs on this rule for a decade. Every time pressure builds, the answer is the same. Earn more. Say yes to the extra project. Take the promotion that comes with more travel and less sleep. Every time income rises, the pressure rises with it, because the lifestyle was never fixed. It grows exactly as tall as the income casting it like a shadow. At year 10, Timeline 1 earns triple what it earned at year 1. And for the first time in that life, sleep doesn't come easy anymore. In Timeline 2, Morrowe solves the identical pressure a different way, not by earning more, but by needing less. Takes the promotions that actually change the trajectory and declines the ones that only add hours to a life already built well. Expenses stay small enough that even a modest income creates a gap, and that gap is the only thing that ever buys freedom. Income is not the opposite of financial stress. Lifestyle is. You can out-earn a lot of problems. You cannot out-earn an identity that needs constant upgrading to feel valid. If your income doubled tomorrow, would you actually keep the difference? Be honest. Most people already know where that money would go. Rule 5, the system says, retirement is something you handle later. The last rule is the quietest one. It doesn't feel like a rule. It feels like patience. You're young, you're building, there's time. In timeline 1, Morrowe believes this fully. In the 20s, the plan is to get serious once established. In the 30s, once the house is settled. In the 40s, once the kids' costs calm down. The trap here isn't laziness, it's sequencing. Timeline 1 always plans to build wealth after the lifestyle is secured. But the lifestyle never finishes needing to be secured. There's always a next upgrade waiting directly behind the last one. By year 10, Timeline 1 has almost nothing invested, not from inability, because later kept quietly eating now. In Timeline 2, Morrowe inverts the sequence on day 1. Before rent, before anything else touches the paycheck, a fixed percentage moves into investments automatically. Not a decision made every month, a decision made once and never touched again. 10 years later, the gap isn't just in the balance, it's in the shape of time itself. Timeline 1's money had 10 fewer years to compound. And in wealth building, time isn't a factor. It's the entire machine the system runs on, and it runs the same direction for everyone. Has later quietly become your entire financial strategy? If it has, you already know what that decade is going to cost you. Same starting line, 10 years gone, two versions of the same person standing at the same distance from where it all began. In Timeline 1, Morrowe makes $210,000 a year now. A title people respect, a driveway people photograph, a life that looked from the outside like it worked exactly as designed. Underneath it, Timeline 1 is one bad quarter away from panic, one layoff away from losing the house that was supposed to prove everything worked out. The most impressive person at the dinner table and the most trapped person in the room. And most days, even Morrowe can't tell the difference. In Timeline 2, Morrowe makes $140,000 a year, noticeably less, but Timeline 2 also has, quietly, more invested than Timeline 1 will ever have, could lose the job tomorrow and change nothing for 18 months, has never once lain awake doing anxious math at 2 in the morning. One version built a life that requires constant feeding forever. The other version built a life that no longer needs to be managed. It just runs. That's the entire system, and the entire way out compressed into one decade and one name, split two ways. Now, here's the only question that actually matters. Forget the timelines. They were never the point. You were. Every rule Morrowe lived in either direction, you're living right now, in real time. The raise you just got, the upgrade you're eyeing, the peer group you're quietly competing with, the retirement account you keep meaning to start. You are, this exact second, splitting into one of these two timelines. Not someday. Now. This month's decisions are the fork in the road. I'm not going to tell you to budget better and wish you luck. That's not how the system gets broken. Here's what I want you to do before you close this video. Pick one rule, just one. The one that hit hardest, you already know which one it was. Break it this week, not next quarter. If it's the raise rule, the next time money moves, automate a piece of it somewhere your lifestyle doesn't get a vote. If it's the peer group rule, skip the next auction, just once. Notice that nobody actually notices. If it's the later rule, open the account today. Not optimized, just open. Timeline 1 didn't lose because of one bad decision. It lost because the system made 1,000 small ones on Morrow's behalf, and the pen never got taken back. Timeline 2 didn't win because of being smarter. It won because, on one ordinary Tuesday, 10 years ago, Morrowe broke a rule nobody ever said could be broken. You have the same Tuesday available to you. Right now. The only question left is which timeline gets attached to your decade 10 years from today. Choose, and then go prove it.